Experts say drinking a lot of sweetened beverages can lead to obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. This week, the federal government reversed decades of policy and allowed states to ban the use of food stamps to buy soda and other sweetened drinks. In addition, a handful of cities have put taxes on them over the strong objections of the beverage industry. To find out more, we went to opposite coasts. At a corner shop in Philadelphia, steps from the Liberty Bell, a 20-ounce bottle of Coca-Cola cost $3.09. But just a few miles south, beyond the city limits, a PBS News producer found a price of $2.79, 30 cents cheaper. Why the difference? Since 2017, Philadelphia has taxed sugar-sweetened drinks at a rate of 1.5 cents an ounce. The city council imposed the levy as a public health measure.
I did not think a sweetened beverage tax was going to actually impact health.
Why not?
Well, it's just very, very difficult to influence weight. Our bodies are biologically designed to actually help us keep weight on once we gain it.
Christina Roberto and researchers at the University of Pennsylvania track the effects of the tax. Some of what they found surprised them.
The overall effect of the tax in Philly was a 35% reduction in sales of these taxed drinks. Now, I've been working in this area for about 20 years, and I have never seen a behavioral effect that large, right? Like, eating behavior is so hard to change, let alone change it over the long term. And so to me, I just felt like, oh my gosh, this is an incredible intervention to actually get people to, stop or consume fewer of these drinks that we know are making us sick.
So people buying less, drinking less, you wanted to find out what that translated into.
The rate at which they were gaining weight in Philadelphia was a bit slower than in these places nearby that weren't subject to the tax. You're seeing a health effect on an outcome that is incredibly difficult to move.
Philadelphia is the biggest U.S. city with a sugar-sweetened beverage tax on the books. Here, 3,000 miles away, the beach town of Santa Cruz, California, has become the latest city to approve one.
It's a great place to be. Yeah, I really enjoyed.
Martine Watkins, former mayor of this city of about 60,000 people, began pushing the tax in 2016 when she first ran for city council. The idea came from her brother, who works in health policy. He also urged her to think about health in all policy decisions.
He was like, teens, that's what he calls me. You got to do this. Learning about that framework really resonated with me, and that health is more than hospitals, health is more than healthcare. Health is the environment in which we're able to thrive in, and how I, at the local level, could influence that.
Beginning in 2014, when Berkeley voters passed the nation's first modern soda tax, similar levies were approved in other California cities. In the face of this building momentum at the ballot box, the beverage industry turned to state lawmakers in Sacramento. A lobbying effort won passage of a law banning local soda taxes until 2031. Despite that, last year, led by current Santa Cruz Mayor Fred Keeley and Vice Mayor Shebra Kalantari Johnson, the city council put a 2-cent an ounce tax on sugar-sweetened soft drinks on the ballot. Were you looking to challenge the state law?
We were looking to do what is within our rights as a charter city to raise revenue for our community and invest it back in health. That's what we were looking to do.
And Mr. Mayor, what were your thoughts about this? I mean, I'd imagine a more cautious mayor might have said, I don't want to get into this fight. I see court challenges ahead. I see rough waters ahead.
The thought that the city has is that, to put it bluntly, this is the right thing to do, and not to be scared off by an industry with a very large war chest and a very determined approach to smothering these in the cradle every time they get a chance to do so.
The opposition in Santa Cruz was a replay of what the beverage industry did in Philadelphia in 2016. Back then, it organized a broad coalition that included the Teamsters Union and characterized the soda tax as a regressive tax on groceries. Even in much smaller Santa Cruz, the industry went all out. Talk a bit about what the beverage industry did with all that money. How did they deliver their message?
Well, I would think the a shorter answer is, what didn't they do? I think the only thing they didn't do was skywriting. Other than that, they did everything, and I think that's part of why they lost, frankly. They spent $2.8 million to get 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 votes. They could have walked around handing out $100 bills to people. That may have been a better outcome for them.
So don't swallow the spin. Vote no on Measure Z.
The campaign against the tax, which was on the ballot as Measure Z, drew on the high cost of living in Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz just hiked the sales tax on groceries. Now they want to hit us again?
The coalition the beverage industry organized was called the Campaign for an Affordable Santa Cruz.
If you're looking on YouTube, on the TV, or on just the local news station, there's just advertisements, mailers. I have some here if you want to see.
Please show it to us.
Yeah. I mean, every day nearly you would get a mailer coming in to your home and talking about why you should vote no on Measure Z.
And how did they characterize it? What was their argument?
You know, their argument was, I think they had sort of two, well, it looks like they had more or less three. Failed, regressive, and illegal.
We would show up and everyone would get a clipboard with a hefty packet of information.
The yes side relied on a small group of canvassers led by Lolis Ramirez, a veteran of California grassroots campaigns, and Blythe Young of the American Heart Association.
We found that giving people their neighborhoods to go talk to their neighbors about this tax and explain why it was important to them, what brought them to this issue, was really compelling.
My father has type 2 diabetes. My grandmother has type 2 diabetes. You know, I am a Latina. I'm likely to have it in my life if I don't make good choices for myself.
Organizers behind the tax said it was crucial to have some small business owners on their side. Damani Thomas, head chef and owner of Oswald, a downtown restaurant, said he'd seen and experienced the effects of sugary drinks firsthand.
Being a black person, I know a lot of people are pre-diabetic. A lot of the youngsters are pre-diabetic. When I was a young person, me and my friends, we would get this thing that was called the Thirsty 2-ouncer, right? It's a 32-ounce soda. And we would get every flavor, and we call it a suicide. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, if you keep going with that, it is suicide.
And since sugary drinks are a major contributor to tooth decay, the most common childhood disease, dentists were natural allies.
Yes, thank you.
Speaking to as many people as possible is the way that these grassroots movements actually work.
Laura Marcus is the CEO of Dientes, a Santa Cruz nonprofit providing affordable dental care for low-income residents.
We saw what happened when the tobacco tax was passed in our state and the profound impact it had on smoking rates. It was incredible. People stopped smoking. A small 2-cent tax is something that won't have a profound impact on the individual, but yet could, in the end, have a large impact on the community.
In fact, the Penn study of the Philadelphia tax found a large impact on the very type of patient that Dientes serves.
When we broke our sample down by people who were on Medicaid or not, that group had a 20% reduction in dental caries. And we saw the same thing in adults as in kids.
In the end, the no side spent $2.8 million. The yes side, less than $100,000.
Going into the election day, were you confident? Were you worried?
I'm always worried.
What was the margin?
Slim. You were about 52%.
On May 1st, Santa Cruz began collecting the tax in defiance of the statewide ban. City officials are braced for a court fight with the beverage industry. In a statement to PBS News, the American Beverage Association said, "We are assessing our next steps as Santa Cruz implements its illegal tax." Despite the prospect of rough legal seas ahead, Santa Cruz officials hope their new tax will encourage actions by other states and cities.